In today's video, we will discover the true meaning of the word Midas touch. Come along, let's listen to the story. Hi folks, I am CSK, your personal coach, and you're watching me on the CSKSpeaks channel. Welcome. The story what I'm going to tell you today was written for the first time in 1921, 100 years ago from today. The story begins in an auction house, and we all know what an auction house is, right? Where people gather together to fix some value on products, collectibles, and they carry back home because they feel lucky having bid and fixed a price according to the best of their abilities. Now, the role of an auctioneer is very important here because his job is to get the maximum buck for the product. He wants to steal a bargain every time he goes up on stage with a product, isn't it? And that adrenaline rush we feel when the gavel bangs thrice on the table. Oh, I cannot express that. So this story also is in one such auction house, and it seems that auctioneer was very famous and popular because he was one guy who was able to sell everything. So he did that on that very day, lived up to the expectations of people and the auction house, and he was almost done with selling all the products and getting the best price for the auction house. And as he was about to step down, his eyes fell on a broken piece of violin. A violin pretty old, dusty, the strings were all coming out and it was maybe damaged a little, and it was there at the corner. He really did not think that he should auction even that piece. So he looked at the auction house owners and they kind of signaled him, yes, that is also up for auction. Reluctantly, he picked up that violin and then went up on stage and held it high up and told the audience that, okay, folks, one last time, you've all been so friendly, so generous from this morning. Why don't you show a little bit more generosity on this violin? So he picks it up, holds it high up, and asks them to fix a particular rate. And as the typical auction goes, he starts off with as minimum as 1 rupee. Now people were reluctant, but still, because of the energy and the enthusiasm of the auctioneer, a few hands go up for 1 rupee. He says, okay, so I see so many of you interested, let's better this, let's increase it a little more. How many of you are in for it for 2 rupees? But this time a few hands fell down and only a few remained. He said, okay, one last time I'm going to try and push this more. 3 rupees. How many of you are interested? And he could only see one hand up. He felt lucky that he finally found 3 rupees for this product, this violin, and he was about to take his gavel and bang. So he goes 3 rupees once, 3 rupees twice, and as he was about to bang the gavel for the last time and the third time, there was one grey-haired man at the back who raises his hand. In fact, he stands up and he says, wait. So the auctioneer is puzzled, and so is the audience. All of them are waiting. This man makes his way among the audience towards the stage, comes right to the foot of the stage and extends his hand to collect that violin. Without knowing what to do, the auctioneer hands over the violin to that man. The grey-haired man pulls out a piece of handkerchief from his pocket, dusts the violin, ties up the string, and finally gets up on stage in the typical violin pose. That is, you can imagine the violin next to your shoulder and he's up there. And for the next few minutes, he goes on to enthrall the audience with the best melodious music from the violin. All this while, the audience were busy fixing prices. But for the first time, the audience were transported out of their senses into the melody of the violin. Abruptly, the grey-haired man stops, hands it over to the auctioneer, steps down, and then walks back to his seat. The auctioneer got an idea. He says, "Okay folks, we are going to cancel the last bid. We are going to rebid one more time for this violin." And he holds it high up again and says, "Okay, how many of you are ready to take this violin home with you now that you have enjoyed that melodious music?" Friends, you are surprised that the first person who raises the bid has spoken, and he says 1,000 rupees. That violin, which the auctioneer was finding it difficult to sell it at 1 rupee, has suddenly got a price of 1,000 rupees. So as the auctioneer says, "Okay, fantastic, we have got 1,000 rupees and we are going to close this bid," he goes to hit the gavel on the table. Somebody else says 2,000 rupees. Now this is getting more interesting, isn't it? Long story short, finally that piece of violin, the violin which was just broken, which was fixed recently and played, finally was sold at 3,000 rupees. All of them could not believe that this can happen, but it just happened in that very auction house. Now what just happened? A violin which was finding it difficult to even get 3 rupees was sold at 3,000 rupees. And that is the title of this story, The Touch of the Master's Hand, written by Myra Brooks Welch in 1921. So now I don't want to give you a message out of this story, because I think the story itself has enough message for all of us. Now what are we going to do on that message is up to you, up to me, up to everyone, isn't it? So let's leave an impact on people around us by using the power of our touch, the touch of the Master's hand. Thank you for watching CSK Speaks.